Welcome to the virtual Winton Motor Raceway located in Victoria, Australia for the 6th round of the Renault Clio League. The 8, 9, 10, the Motorsport News S's along the BP Ultimate straight here and into turn number 1 of Honda corner and up then to Nissan corner. A lot of sponsorships here, that's for sure. Through turn number 2 here and up towards Foot Waist Straight. What are these corner names? Let's get our live timing available for those of you that want to go to live timing. It is beehivebillbroadcasting.com/live-timing. And you can get all of the live timing up there. As it looks like I have got something all sorted here. Through turn number 6 comes Malone, then up towards Kidamy corner, turn number 7, turning to the right here, trying to keep it nice and tight in the 83 machine as we just get things all loaded. It looks like we are getting a good job of getting things loaded actually. And let's see if we can get some information up. There we go. Like I said, unfortunately, we do not have everything that I want to have up today. We don't have our custom theme. We're having to sit with the normal Atvo theme, but at least we're live and everything else seems to be working. Away we go. Heat race number 1 is underway and we head up towards turn number 1. Vukovic tucks in behind straight away off the line there to try and settle themselves down into their positions. They certainly have a number of teammates racing in this one, but they have all settled themselves down straight away, and that is what a few of these drivers are going to be hoping for. It is a very tight track. You can see at the back here, drivers just running over the curbing. That's Richard Dempsey. He's behind Kevin Anfield in the grey Renault Clio ahead of him. And off the circuit, that was Neil Rocks who ran off the circuit there. He's sitting inside the top 10 in the Division 1 standings. He goes off the circuit and will now be having to recover that as he falls behind Downey and Tebow. Some side-by-side action going on ahead as well. This is Kevin Anfield. He is right behind Matty Cridland as Bradbury and McBuller side-by-side for a podium position here. McBuller pushes wide. Bradbury goes for the switchback. It could be three wide with Cridland getting involved. He doesn't. Bradbury holds ahead of McBuller here. But here comes Kevin Anfield. Can he try and get up the inside of Matty Cridland? He does. Anfield goes into 5th position. McBuller in 4th position now with Bradbury pulling ahead in 3rd. But here comes Kevin Anfield on the outside of McBuller. Can't do it into turn 1. There's some contact behind. He switches over to the inside of McBuller and he gets through into turn 2. Here comes Cridland though. Can he try now and get around the outside of McBuller? It's Fox involved as well as the Whisk Telemetry drivers not wanting to get involved in contact themselves, going side by side there ever so slightly as we head up in towards turn number 5 of the Penrite corner. And then Richard Dempsey now getting involved in this just behind, trying to get through past Fox, but here comes Downey. Downey up the inside, it turns to the outside. Dempsey's going to keep it on that tighter line. Can Downey get a good exit here on the outside, on the exit, and towards the inside of turn number 8. Downey's got the overlap on Dempsey here. They go side by side. Are they going to keep it clean? They certainly are. Dempsey gets the inside on that switch over and then he holds it in towards turn number 10 as it stands. But he's not happy with that. He goes up the inside of Richard Dempsey. There's contact twice through the corner as there's more cars going wide up ahead. Dempsey somehow keeps ahead of Downey, but that is side by side between the two teammates ahead, Cridland and Fox. Fox on the outside. It isn't quite enough overlap to get to the inside there. Vukovic, the fastest man out on track at the moment, but he is still a second behind El Herrera. Could possibly have Dempsey still under attack from Downey here. Downey is taking the win in Division 2, but he's not happy enough with that. He goes up the inside of Richard Dempsey. There's a little bit of door banging through turn number 7 as they head up towards turn number 8. Once again, Downey's on the right-hand side of Dempsey. We've seen this happen before, that Dempsey was able to hold it as the car switched over, but they keep closer this time. A little bit of a scrape, but once again, Dempsey keeps the position, and Downey has to drop back and will drop back into 9th overall with Dempsey ahead. It has allowed Harry Fox to close up right behind. Fox, one of the championship contenders, dives up the inside of teammate Matty Cridland here. They're side by side. Cridland's not going to give it to him easily, though, as they switch back over, though, and it gives Cridland the inside line. But you can tell that Fox backed out a little earlier, possibly going for a switch back later on in the lap. It's allowed Dempsey and Downey to close in, but not quite enough. But El Herrera returning to the Clio League after a few races off, and he returns in style. Pole position in qualifying and a win in heat race number 1 for Mohamed El Herrera. So El Herrera won that one ahead of Vukovic. Bradbury in 3rd, followed by Anfield, McBuller, Cridland, Fox and Dempsey. Riley Downey took the win in Division 2, followed by Neil Rocks in Division 1, and then at the back of the field was Zach Thibault. But we are green and away here for heat race number 2. Jared Swain from pole position has got Philip van der Herk up his inside. They're side by side into turn number 1. Van der Herk wants to get past the D2 driver as quick as he can, and he has dispatched him straight away out of turn number 2. It is Van der Herk leading the way ahead of Jared Swain. As we look further down the order, they have all settled themselves down now. Yes, they had. They settled themselves out nicely, but here comes the 55 of Michael Lees trying to get up the inside of Cook. That's a mistake and a lock-up for Cook. Was there a little bit of contact? I was looking at another screen as that happened, but they are 2 by 2. This heat race number 2 being a little bit more action-packed on the opening lap here. This is Matt Malone being sandwiched in. He's got Bob Poplar pushing him behind. Richard Edgar's back there. Edgar's sitting quite pretty in the championship standings right now, but he's hoping to do a good result here. He is 3rd in class, though. That's something, even though he's near the back of the field. Only 4 D2 drivers in this race. It's a little bit harder for them. There's a lot of drivers taking the inside there. Could have cut the corner, could get some slowdowns as we head up towards turn number 1. 2 weeks. He has absolutely flown up the order. Matt Malone, on the other hand, has fallen down the order, so not as well as that was Poplar off the circuit there. He returns to the track and will be trying to do something with that as he now sits in 7th in class at the back of this field. At least so far this season, that name at least, as up the inside of Lease goes Cook, John Cook. Through turn number 1, gets that inside. Will try to keep it there if he can, and he certainly does. Running a slightly different livery to the other Formula Armour drivers, but he is also a Formula Armour driver. Second right now, he has got the fastest lap of the race, but it's the 7.24 of Jared Swain, who is in 2nd position overall at the moment. Slightly different racing lines. That was definitely a lock-up from Swain there, but these cars can deal with that slight lock-up. Being front-wheel drive cars, it's not too bad, but it is going to have the impact on the tyres in the longer races. Of course, still the longest race we only do is just 20 minutes long, so it's not going to have a severe impact unless you're consistently doing it in here. But it's still 3/10 along the straight there to Swain, so the gap fairly evening itself out ahead and behind. Van der Herk has doubled his lead now, as that is a big moment for Jared Swain out of the final turn. Ian Lane needs no second invitation. He dives up the inside. He's up the inside again here. Swain on the outside holds it, and here comes Mark Codd up the inside of Ian Lane. What was an opportunity from Lane to get into 2nd overall. He loses it down to 3rd in class per lap, which is absolutely crazy. Some two-wheeling there for Swaim once more. And here goes Mark Codd. It's Codd's opportunity this time. Is Ian Lane going to play Codd back to favour? No, Codd knew what was going to come on with that. He backed out a little bit earlier to get himself in line, and he goes defensive. He knows that the position ahead will be great for bragging rights, but the position behind is the one that truly matters. He swaps over to the inside of Jared Swaim. The number 2 machine, Mark Codd, gets the inside. It's going to turn to the outside, giving Swaim an opportunity here to pull back at it, but it once again is going to swap over. He's going to have to hold it up around the outside because here comes Ian Lane to try and take it up the inside. Codd confirmed second. Ian Lane and Jared Swaim now side by side. Swaim onto the grass ever so slightly. Back onto the circuit though, but Lane has got that inside line and Jared Swaim has to back out of it. It's 4th overall, but it is still first in class. It does not affect his championship standings at all, but he is going back on the attack here on Ian Lane on the penultimate lap of the race. That was tyre lockup from Codd ahead, but he has pulled a gap side by side from Swaim and Lane as they go through turn 2 and up to the long left-hander at turn 3, and Swaim backs out of that one. But here is Van der Herk. Didn't start on pole, but took the lead in turn 1, solidified it in turn 2, and will just take the win here. And he raced number 2 over the curbing. Van der Herk crashes almost across the line, as does Codd in P2. Ian Lane takes 3rd, and Swaim wins Division 2. Over the line, the drivers come for having some fun with that final curbing. Philip Van der Herk, who took the win in that one ahead of Mark Codd and Ian Lane. Jared Swaim wins Division 2. John Cook took the Division 1 finish, followed by Mikael Lees, who took 2nd in Division 2. Luis Henriquez, Matt Malone and Bob Poplar was behind, followed by Peter McIntyre, who took the final podium place in Division 2. And Richard Edgar finished 4th. Not too bad. It will still give him some good amount of results, championship points, at the end of this one. Green, and we are away as we head up towards turn number 1. Can El Hilary hold it? Yep. Van der Herk cannot get up the inside like he did in heat race number 2, so he will have to settle down in 2nd position right now. But it looks like all of our 22 drivers settle themselves single file here. It then puts him under attack here from John Cook. The 2 teammates down up the inside. There's contact for Jared Swaim, D2 championship leader, with Clayton McBuller. McBuller moved to the right. I don't know if that was to try and let Swaim do, but there were just too many position changes there. And that is a shame for Swaim. Swaim now side by side with Harry Fox. Fox has to let him go, as that was Darney off the jack of the back as well. Mikael Lees, as I think that's a slowdown for Swaim. He swings to the inside. It's side by side all over the place. Contact between Swaim and Fox. Fox is off, Fox is back on. But it is Mikael Lees leading the way in Division 2. In the Division 2 category right now, and has another dive. The 55 machine of Mikael Lees trying to go for a position there, but it turns into an overtake opportunity for Cridland here. Matty Cridland through. This is great behind Jared Swaim. I was about to say he can take the opportunity here, but Fox slams into the rear of Swaim. I think that's a front bumper missing now from Fox's machine. Cridland could not get the overtake done on Lees. Viquez getting the curbing, and it is going to give Richard Dempsey the opportunity behind, but that was also Swaim up the inside of Cridland. Cridland Vincent and Swaim side by side for 11th position, battling it out in 11th and 12th. Here comes Harry Fox though. Swaim now has the two teammates to contend with. Fox is up the inside, Swaim stuck on the outside line, and he is going to have to give that position up and give Lease another driver in between himself and second in class. But here comes Dempsey. Dempsey up the inside of Swaim. Swaim is an absolute bowling pin in this race. He is getting hit left, right and centre. Dempsey opening up the opportunity possibly for Henriquez here just behind to try and get up the inside, and he doesn't quite make that move too much. Here comes Richard Dempsey up the inside of Joel Swaim. This is giving Downey an opportunity just behind there. You can see Downey just a couple of cars behind, as that's Dempsey still looking up the inside. It will turn to the outside of turn number 3. Dempsey is going to have Downey just behind as Downey dives up the inside of Henriquez. Downey up to 15th overall, goes off the circuit though. That's going to be a slowdown, but it does not stop him from looking up the inside of Richard Dempsey. You can slow the car down enough while still racing here at Winton because of the layout of the circuit. You can see he's placing his car perfectly ahead of Henriquez and Malone, depending on who's got the inside line. But Vukovic is now in second position. Malone is up the inside of Henriquez. They're side by side. Henriquez and Malone. There's contact into the final corner. There's more contact. Henriquez is wide, extremely wide, but both of them just about managed to survive the final corner, and Malone now up to 16th place. And 10 pushing it slightly wide and catching that curving just like we see there, just like Fox does. And up the inside goes Jared Swaim for 12th position overall. We'll keep an eye on that fight going on. But here comes Downey. Downey's going to want to try and get past some D1 drivers to close up to Swaim here. He's fighting with Dempsey as there's a little bit of contact between the two of them. As here goes Downey up the inside, more contact through turn 7. Downey's got the inside and will move up into 14th overall. Dempsey has still got the outside here, and if he can keep just enough of a wheel in, he could turn up to the inside. He backs out of it. He's going for the exit here. He's going to push as hard as he can and see what happens to Downey. Downey runs it really nicely though, and now, oh no he doesn't, he runs wide out of the final turn, and here comes Dempsey up the inside. Downey going to run the outside line though. We can see that speed on the outside line really works well here at Winton though. Line in, as that's Dempsey around in the background, contact with Henriquez. Dempsey goes off the circuit. Henriquez involved in that. They're both back on. I believe Dempsey caught just a bit too much of the curbing and it's thrown him off the circuit. Downey, of course, battling Swaim for the championship. So this is the race. As there's contact! Downey goes sideways. He settles itself down though, and he gets himself behind Fox. Trainer drivers that Jared Swaim is trying to catch up to so he can fight with Lease. There's contact! Lease and Cook come together. Lease and Cook come together, which opens the opportunity here for Jared Swaim to try and get past Mikael Lease, the number 55 machine. There's a little bit of contact between the two of them as they head up towards the final turn here. Well, the final collection of turns here. The gap at the front also down now to 4/10 for second. Him too much in the long run. Is he going to try a different racing line here as we go into turn number 4? Some smoke ahead from the battle ahead and also from Cook. Lease tried to avoid Cook there. Swerves across the circuit and takes Swaim off the track. Chip lead after the Tsukuba round last week. Dives to the inside here. It becomes the outside of Lease. There's contact, there's tyre banging as through they go in towards turn 7. It is up the inside for Jared Swaim. Swaim has got the overlap here, is at the moment leading D2, but Lease is holding it on the outside. It can switch over. There's a little bit of contact and they settle themselves down. Jared Swaim moves back into the lead of the D2 field as we saw behind Downey trying to fight with Fox, and it gives Cridlin the opportunity to get involved here, and Matt Malone behind as well. All of these drivers trying to find any sort of position. Downey just trying to get up to the leading two in his class, but it looks like it will be third in class for him. Coming up to the final turns here. Here comes Mohamed El Hilary on his return. He took pole position. He won heat race number 1, and he will win feature race number 1. Mohamed El Hilary takes the win. And it is going to be Dempsey ahead of Malone. Malone having to back out at the end there. Did he have a slowdown? I'm not sure. But he certainly lost an additional position to McIntyre. After feature race number 1, Mohamed El Hilary won that one ahead of Vukovic by a second. Conrad Bradbury, 7.5 seconds back, came in third ahead of Philip van der Herk. Kevin Enfield took fourth ahead of Ian Lane. Clayton McBuller came home in 7th ahead of Mark Codd and John Cook. Jared Swaim won Division number 2, which is exactly what he needs, leading the Division 2 Championship. Mikael Lees took 2nd in class ahead of Harry Fox and 12th overall. Riley Downey took 3rd in the D2 class. Behind them and to the back of the field was Matty Gridland, Richard Edgar, Bob Poplar, Richard Dempsey, Peter McIntyre, Matt Malone, Lewis Henriquez, Neil Rocks and Zach Thibault. And I think for the first ever time we have not had any DNFers out of any of the races so far. Will that be the same as we go into feature race 2? And we are away. Zach Thibault launches off the line from first position here, and he tucks it in, and he will hold on to the lead. Neil Rocks looking to hold on to the lead of the D1 field ahead of Henriquez if he's able to. They can, as we jump towards the back of the field now and see if there is anything going on with the drivers towards the back here. As they try to settle themselves down, Henriquez has made his way into 2nd position for a full invert as well. It's an extremely tight track, as this is Jared Swaim here, side by side with Fox and Cridland, as they continue to run a line with each other in yet another feature race here. Jared Swaim now looking to try and move up some D2 positions, gets up the inside of Peter McIntyre, gets that position down as McIntyre is spun in the background. Dempsey is off in the foreground, and there's about 3 cars side by side through there. So a number of cars just going around, well, going slightly off there, but that's a shame for McIntyre. Just caught. It's an extremely tight part of the circuit, and there was about 3 wide going through there. It was never going to work out. Downey, Edgar Swaim, 6th, 7th, 8th position. Overall at the moment. Thibault still leads the way in Division 2. He has had some poor races so far this event, so he's being towards the back of the field most of today, but that has put him on pole position for the feature race 2, and he is taking full advantage of it at the moment. Here comes Vukovic up the inside of Ian Lane to try and take 15th overall. It is 10th in class, and he does so for 1. Different racing lines as we jump through, and it's just different racing lines all around, and forced off the track there. Richard Edgar gets it back on, but we're trying to keep it on the surface as there's more contact behind. That's Vukovic involved behind, and is now side by side with Bradbury. More contact. Vukovic is forced onto the grass. He holds it. More contact. There's 3 cars side by side there. As there on the outside is El Hilary and Vukovic side by side. But Vukovic gained up a number of positions and has fallen back down again. As Van Herk is all the way at the back of here. Some of our fastest drivers really struggling to find a way through as those contacts, and around they all go. As they settle themselves down, the cars went around. Way up the inside of Neil Rocks, and here comes Downey. Downey and Swaim are together in 6th and 7th position. Downey on the outside here. It's a risk through the long turn 3, but it will give him the inside into turn 4 and turn 5, and he does so. That was Lease off the track into turn 4. but Downey moves past Rocks. Swaim now trying to do the same as well, because he's going to want to try and overtake past Downey. Downey looks up the inside of Malone, can't do it. But this is side by side, Swaim and Rocks. He does it. Here comes Richard Dempsey to try and take advantage of that, though. Can Dempsey try and get up the inside of Rocks? He has to settle behind, though. There, and that's Downey and Malone without front bumpers. Both of them over the curbing and into the wall. A huge amount of issues there for Downey. D2 Championship contender has given Swaim a real possibility to storm away at the lead here. Is down the order significantly, has gone off at the very start of the lap, as off the track and on the track as Lees takes out Anfield. More contact behind, as that was originally Edgar, I believe. No, that was originally El Hilaire who ran off the track and back on again. Contact and big contact, and around goes Lees. Penalties, Lees, Anfield, and Vukovic! Milan Vukovic has finally had an extremely poor race, and once again it is in feature race 2. This race, Lees looks like he has decided to abandon the race, and off the track goes Bob Poplar, and through goes Downey, and it off into the middle of nowhere is Neil Rocks. Team has just moved past Zach Thibault. Thibault's obviously made a mistake very recently, because that is a big amount of time lost all of a sudden for Jared Swaim. For Zach Thibault, because Jared Swaim is now leading Division 2 here, and expected 19. So the laps times being placed in by Henriquez out at the front, just not quick enough to go for the lap a minute, as a big mistake for Henriquez as he pushed too hard through the final turn. Jared Swaim up the inside and into the lead of the overall race here. Here, 7th and 8th, Poplar has got Fox looking for the outside. Fox has to back out of it because he has got to slow down out of the first 2 turns. Bradbury moves through and is now on the back end of Poplar. So that was a slowdown to Fox, has cost him not only the attempted overtake, but he has lost a position too. Just wasn't quite enough time, and the white flag has appeared out of nowhere. And here comes Jared Swaim to win D2 and overall. Jared Swaim, D2 Championship leader, wins feature race 2. Luis Henriquez wins the D1 field, and somehow the destroyed machine of Downey takes 2nd in class ahead of Thibault. Jared Swaim won that one with some really good speed as well. Did not start up there, had to move his way up the field, and he did so extremely well to take the overall win here. Luis Henriquez came home first in the D1 class. Riley Downey and Zach Thibault rounded out the podium in D2, and Cook and Van der Herk rounded out the podium in D1. A great move up the order also for Van der Herk. Conrad Bradbury and Harry Fox came just behind, followed by Richard Edgar in D2, and Bob Poplar rounded out our top 10. Vukovic took home 11th in the end somehow after serving a penalty as well. Ian Lane took 12th ahead of Matty Cridland and Kevin Anfield. Peter McIntyre took 15th overall. Neil Rocks came behind that, followed by Clayton McBuller, who got a penalty on the last lap, and therefore you can see that is why he is plus 18 seconds, but is placed behind Neil Rocks. Mark Codd was the last driver to finish on the lead lap. Richard Dempsey was a lap down and finished 19th. El Hilaire retiring from the race with 4 laps to go. Michael Lees ended the race early with 11 laps to go, and Matt Malone went out on the same point he had that accident with Riley Downey. That's who I was going to say. Downey also had an accident that Matt Malone went out of the race, unfortunately. Until next time, though, I hope you have enjoyed. I look forward to sharing more racing with you, so be sure to come back in a couple of weeks as we return for Season 2 of the Renault Clio League and for round number 7 at Monza. Until then, I say goodbye. Thank you so much. Goodbye.